Hello, History 1021 class. My name is Joel Jewin, and I am going to be your instructor for this semester. And I'm very glad and excited to have all of you in class. And I'm very excited to be working with all of you and hopefully teaching you a lot about the first half of Western civilization, as well as just a little bit about, working in history and hopefully observing the world, both past and present as well. Also, a class such as ours kind of comes with its own inherent challenges since, as you know, this is a summer class. It is a very condensed summer class. We only have about 6 weeks to really go through the material that's usually covered in a standard 16-week class. And that's really why this tutorial video is very, very important. And I really hope you pay attention here because we're going to be hitting the ground running. We're going to be going at a very quick pace. And the best chance that you are going to have to be successful is to really make sure that we're on the same page, that you know what all the expectations are, you know when all the assignments are due, and that there are no surprises. So the first thing I'm going to do is really get into just the basics, how to get into the class, how to access everything, to really make sure that you're comfortable knowing where everything is and how to access it. That's really the first step. So what you can do is from Century's main page, which I am on here, you can go up to Login, go right down to D2L Brightspace, which is the online learning tool that we are going to be using. Sign on of star ID. It should bring up a separate login page. Type in your star ID and your password. Select sign on. And that should bring you to your kind of D2L homepage. Yours is probably going to look a little bit different than mine. You're going to have different things listed under my courses, but you are going to see this one popping up, SU18 History 102170, Western Civilization 1. Make sure you go ahead and click on that, and that is going to bring you into our home page here. So just this is always going to be the first view that you see when you get into our home page. And a couple of things, there's going to be a little announcements tab over here. At the end of every week, I'm going to be posting a review video that's really going to go over kind of the answers, the activities, and just kind of give some added perspectives on the material that we had covered the week before. And those are always going to be posted right under here underneath the announcements tabs. And I certainly suggest you go in and view those on a weekly basis because in a lot of ways that's going to kind of be my way of commenting back and communicating with the class as far as reflecting on work that we have done in the past. Right now you can see that there is also a link to our tutorial here. You can go ahead and click on that link. That will bring you back to this tutorial. If you ever have any questions or concerns, this would be a good way to go back and just kind of refresh and review everything we covered. The other very important thing to notice on the main page here is our calendar. And like I said, one of the most important things is knowing when everything is due throughout the class, and those are always going to be listed right along the sidebar here under upcoming events. You can see all the assignments are going to be due by the end of the first week, July 8th. Pretty much our class is always going to run 1 week at a time. So all assignments are going to be due by the end of the week at 11:59 p.m. on Sundays. So once again, for example, all of our week 1 assignments are going to be due July 8th, which is the Sunday of our first week. Always check out the calendar, the upcoming events, because this will let you know in detail what assignments are going to be due each week. There's about 3 or 4 different places you're going to be able to check on our D2L site to see what's coming up and what's going to be due. So it should be very easy to get that information, but just as soon as you log in, this is a quick, easy first place to look. Now, a very important place that you're going to want to make sure you know is under Materials and Content, because that is where the majority of our class is going to be taking place. That's where you're going to go to access the assignments and so forth. So it's going to be pretty much 90% of the time when you come in to the D2L page, you're going to be clicking right up here under Materials, heading down to Content, because that's going to bring you here to our where all the assignments, the resources, and so forth are all posted. I'm just going to kind of go through and give you a rundown of the various tabs we have. The first one we have is class information. This is going to be a lot, this is where a lot of the general information for the class is going to be. There's a copy of the syllabus here, there's a copy of the class schedule. Once more, both of these have calendars and schedules in them as far as what assignments are going to be due, what chapters are going to be due, everything that's going to be due each week. So if you ever have any questions, you can check out either one of these. The syllabus is also very important because it's going to go through in detail the assignments we're going to be doing, the requirements, the expectations, the class policies such as late work, such as expectations on academic honesty, such as email communication. All of these are very, very important, and you're going to want to make sure to read those. There's actually a quiz coming up in the first week here that is going to ask you a number of questions about the syllabus, so you're going to have to read the syllabus for that. But the syllabus is also going to be a very good guide if you just have questions as you move through the semester that you're probably going to want to just go back and refer to and check on. And once more, because this is a condensed class, we're only here for 6 weeks, we're going to be moving at a fast pace, you're going to want to make sure that if you have questions, you get them answered, either by checking the syllabus, looking at the schedule, or contacting me directly. And I really can't stress that enough, how important that is, that if you ever have any questions, you're not sure about an assignment, you're not sure about an expectation, please contact me and let me know, because in a regular 16-week class, maybe you could go through a couple weeks feeling things out and not quite knowing what's going on. In this class, if you miss 1 week or don't do well in 1 week, that's like missing 3 weeks of a regular semester, which is a large percentage of the class. So please make sure anything comes up, you are contacting me, you're letting me know. I'm here to help all of you succeed. I really want to do that, but the best way for me to do that is, if you let me know where you are at, what's going on, and how I can best help you. So besides the syllabus and the class schedule, you're also going to see a couple of rubrics here. Every week we're going to have a primary source document that we look at and discuss in the discussion board. The rubric, or the grading criteria, is here for that, so all the expectations of what I'm looking for in your primary source answers are here. Same thing for the weekly reflection activities. There's also a rubric listed for that. And finally, just some reading and study tips if you'd like to go ahead and look at those, to look at some tips on how to go through the information in our class and how to get a little more proficient at going through and looking at all of that. Next up, I have a little extra credit tab. I do offer extra credit throughout the semester. I'll probably be offering 2 of these kind of extra credit sort of activities. The first one you can see is going to be an extra credit movie review. You can go through and look at that in more detail at your leisure, but you're going to have the entire semester to work on it. See, it's not due until the end of our semester, which is pretty much August 12th. So you can go ahead, take a look at that, and complete that as time allows. Now, going down to where pretty much you're going to want to really start focusing a lot of your attention and time are in the various weeks. Week 1, Week 2, Week 3, Week 4, and so forth. Because in here, you're going to see everything that is due during that week. And that's why if you see they are outlined, Week 1, July 2nd through July 8th, that means that you should really be working on this material during that time period, and that it's all going to be due at the end of July 8th. So once more, looking in this weekly folder, you're going to see once more right at the top a list of everything that is going to need to be completed, and that's going to need to be done throughout the week. One of the ways that I found to really try to make the class as sort of seamless as possible and run as smoothly as possible is to make sure that we're doing very similar things on the various weeks, so you're never really going to have any question about what is coming up. So every week you are going to be expected to read a number of chapters from the textbook. You're going to be expected to view a number of instructional videos and then complete the accompanying assignments. So you see for week 1 here, we're kind of starting out a little bit slow as far as the reading goes. You're only going to be reading the first chapter. You're going to be having a quiz on chapter 1. So every week you're going to be having a quiz on the week's reading. But it's important to note that the readings are going to be ramping up. If you go down here to week 2, you'll notice we are now having a quiz on chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4, which means you're going to need to be reading pages 32 through 121, a large space within our textbook, and incorporating information for 3 different chapters and 3 different quizzes, which is one of the things why I said this is a condensed class. You're going to need to be spending a lot of time per week working on our class, because like I said, it's pretty much like taking 3 weeks of a normal class all at the same time. So certainly make sure that you are keeping up on the readings, the pages are listed, the chapters are listed, and you should have a pretty good idea of what those expectations are every week. The quizzes are, like I said, every week we're going to have a quizzes on the chapters that are covered that week. Each quiz is going to be pretty much the same. It's going to be 10 questions. It's going to be multiple choice. Pretty straightforward, just kind of a refresher of some of the key points that you would have read through or noticed within the chapter. Week 1, we have a couple of additional quizzes, and additional assignments, which you're not normally going to have, which is why we're only having one quiz for week 1. The first one is an introduction assignment. That's just going to be a quick introduction by yourself to me to let me know kind of where you are, your academic goals, your experiences, your expectations, and just kind of introducing yourself. I'll then write back a response to all of you as well that you'll be getting, and we'll kind of begin a communication process in that way. The next quiz is one I already mentioned, the syllabus quiz. There's a link to the syllabus right here. You're also going to want to read through that, complete the syllabus quiz, and that's just going to kind of reinforce a lot of the key policies, due dates, and so forth that you're going to need to know throughout the semester. Now, the next activity we're going to be completing each week is a primary source. A primary source, for those of you who don't know, is essentially a source that comes very close in time to the object of study. Oftentimes, what people might think of a primary source is a journal, right? A journal is something that is written by someone who has observed an event or has lived through an event, and they are creating a first-hand account. First-hand accounts are very good primary sources. So autobiographies would be a very good example of a primary source. Newspapers, a lot of times if they're covering in something that happened very recently, are an excellent example of a primary source. But looking back in history to the time period that we are studying, you have to be a little more creative when you're looking at primary sources. You have to start thinking about looking at art, objects, even cave paintings, things of that nature that you can try to find, because kind of traditional literary sources might not be super abundant. So we have to find lots of various ways to try to get this sort of first-hand account and first-hand information. Primary sources are very, very important to historians. That's one of the main ways that we kind of get evidence and construct our own interpretations of history in the past. So we are going to be going ahead, looking at those and discussing them throughout the course of the semester. So when you click on one of these assignments, it'll bring you up to a page here that gives you more information about them. You'll see a link to the PDF, which contains the primary sources themselves, and then a list of a number of questions that I would like you to answer on the discussion board. There's also then a link right here to the discussion board, another link to the rubric or the grading criteria, so you know exactly how I'm going to be grading you on these. So you can click right here to get to the discussion board. All you need to do then is click Start a New Thread, and you can type in your answers, of course, after having read the attached document. Once that is complete, the only other requirement is that you look at your other students' responses, choose one of those responses or one of those answers to these questions, and then write a response to that student. So at least one other student throughout the course of the week you are going to need to respond to and start a conversation with them. Explain, did you find something similar in your answers? Did you have a different perspective than they did? Did you think something that they said was really unique or original that made you think differently? So that's going to kind of be the focus of the primary sources. Read through the sources, answer the questions about those sources on the primary source, or on the discussion board, I should say, and then respond to other students as well. A few key things to remember about primary sources with the grading criteria. Like I said, you can get kind of the full breakdown here, but I'm really going to be looking for a couple of main things. First of all, that you are including specific evidence from the document, and that means oftentimes incorporating quotes. So if you say that, for example, in our first activity here, that the Egyptians had a very positive outlook on the natural environment because of the Nile River, back that up with a quote. Where in the document do they say something that makes you believe that? That's the easiest way to get the majority of points, is if you're really picking these primary sources apart and answering the questions using specific examples from the documents themselves. You're also going to want to incorporate perspectives that you see from the other class materials throughout the week, through the videos, through the reading and so forth, but the main key with the primary source discussions is to use those specific primary source documents provided to you here to answer these questions. All right, heading back to our page here. It's also important to note before I get to the reflection activities, this drop-down bar here for videos, because these are going to be the other main way you're going to be accumulating kind of knowledge and perspectives throughout the semester. The reading is one of them, and watching these instructional videos is the next. You can see there are a number of videos here. It's not as daunting as it would appear, as each one is relatively short, usually between 15 minutes and a half an hour. But there are going to be several you're going to be watching each week. It's a good idea to kind of watch them in order, starting from the top and working down, as they generally tend to be in kind of a chronological order. So make sure you view these videos and read the readings for the week really before you start answering and completing the activities, because you're going to want to kind of get that full body of knowledge, and then you can go ahead and start doing something with that knowledge, start applying it really. And that's how the course is designed to work. So first thing you're going to do every week is probably read these assigned pages on Monday or Tuesday. Start working through the videos, Monday through Friday essentially, and then throughout the week start incorporating answering some of the quizzes once you start end up reading the chapters, doing the primary source documents, and then finally focusing in on the reflection activities. Now, the reflection activities are really a way to take what you learned throughout the week and, like I said, start applying it in interesting and creative ways. A lot of them are times they're going to be asking you to compare various elements that you learned about the week's materials, but it's also going to ask you to kind of get a little bit creative. Sometimes it's going to ask you to potentially do artistic work and so forth. The main important thing to remember about reflection activities is that there's 10 listed every week, but you only need to complete 5 of them. Now, a lot of times these answers are going to be relatively lengthy. They're going to kind of be writing, a couple paragraphs probably on each answer. So you're going to be putting down a lot of work, but make sure you're only completing 5 out of the 10, so you can really pick and choose where your interests lie, what activities sound appealing to you, what information you really connected with within the chapter, and focus on answering those. Once more, if you have any questions on any of these activities, because there's a lot of variety amongst them, go ahead and let me know. But in general, those are going to be the 3 main assignments you're going to have each week: the quizzes, the primary source discussions, and the reflection activities. The reflection activities are listed as assignments, which means there's a couple ways you can go about completing them. You can either click on the reflection activities here, and then go ahead and upload your files. For example, if you complete it in a Word document, or if you complete it in, let's say, a Google Doc, I can't take or access your Google Docs. You're going to need to turn it into a PDF and then just post your PDF. Another way that you can answer the reflection activities is go to Assessments up here at the top, drop down to Assignments, and they're all listed right in here as well. And you can see when you click there, then you'll have an option to kind of write out comments, submit your files once again, and enter in your information that way. If for whatever reason you are having trouble submitting this through the Assignments tab at any point, go ahead and just email me your answers. Once more, the most important thing is I get them in some way, shape, or form, as opposed to them being directly submitted through this process. If you need to send them to me, I can still view them. I can still grade them for you. But this should be a pretty straightforward process. Besides the questions, as you can see, being listed in the reflection activity here, I also am including a PDF version of these questions, so you can always go ahead and they're also listed on the assignments here. Click on the reflection activity, bring up a separate PDF, which you can then look at while you're answering your questions, like I said, in either in the discussion or either in the assignments tab itself, or else if you're going to be typing it up in a separate document, you can go ahead and do that. So a few other areas of interest. If you want to get directly into the discussion board without having to worry about going into materials and course home, you can just go under communication, and there's a link to the discussions right here, as you can see. Also, under communication, you can go ahead and get to an email tab. This is one way that you can go ahead and contact me and email me. It's very important to note, however, that you cannot receive emails through D2L. So this is not going to be a replacement for your Century email account, because your Century email account is not going to be sending you any notifications, any alerts, or anything like that in D2L. So always make sure that you are checking your Century email separately from going on to D2L, because through your Century email is where I am going to be providing the majority of the contact that we're going to have throughout the semester. If there's something important that I need to tell you, I'll be sending it to your Century email account. If there's going to be a change to the schedule, I'll be sending it to the email account. If I have a concern or a comment, or a good job or something like that that I just want to send out to you, that's going to be going through your Century email account. So it's vitally important, like I said, communication in this kind of quick condensed class to keep communication going. The way you're going to want to do that is through your Century email account. So you can send me emails through D2L, but you cannot receive emails through D2L. So don't expect to come in here and see individual messages from me popping up, because those are only going to be going to your Century email address. So discussions and email under communication. Under assessments is where you have the assignments. The only other tab that you're going to want to be looking at under here is going to be grades. So when you click on grades, that is going to take you to the area where you can view what you've received on your various assignments. So some assignments, such as the quizzes, will be popping up at the grade as soon as you complete them. You'll be able to see what you got right, what you got wrong, and so forth. Other assignments, such as the reflection activities and the primary source documents, I'll be grading the week after they are turned in. So if everything is due on, let's say, for the first week, Sunday, July 8th, I'll be grading them over that upcoming week. Hopefully I'll get them graded and completed early in the week, but sometimes, it might not be until the following weekend. So don't worry if you don't see a grade pop up right away. It's still coming. But once more, if you check your grades, you have a question on why you received a particular grade, make sure you contact me. I'm more than happy to communicate with you and let you know, my thought process, how your answers applied in the rubric, and how I arrived at your various grades. So those are the main key points to the class. Once more, if you have any questions, anything I covered here, anything you read about in the syllabus, or any questions about the class as we get going, please contact me. Please let me know. Like I said, I'm here to help. I want to see all of you succeed. And the best way for me to do that is to engage in that communication process early. Alright, that's going to complete our tutorial here. I hope you have a very good sense now of how our class is going to run, where all the assignments are going to be, and how you can go about completing those. I wish you all very good luck throughout the semester here. I'll be working hard right there along with you to make sure everyone's successful. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day.